act in many different ways. But so I don't have a clear answer to that question.
And that's exactly why we have to ask it. That's exactly why we have to admit we don't have an answer, so that we can sit together, be together, bond. That's what I'm saying, so we understand collectively what's going to happen and where we want to take it as human beings. And then the fact that you can see that I'm excited. I want to be, first of all, say thank you for delivering a talk that gets me to this state. This is very ecstatic for me. So amassing information may lead to intelligence, but not to wisdom. Amassing sensation does not lead to sensuality, spirituality, sensibility. So fantastic, you know, with the...
Clearly distributed autonomous organizations aren't going to make you feel unwhole if you don't have striped toothpaste, okay? I think in some ways the kind of centralized, you know, command and control ecosystem that we've historically grown up with is being threatened and being challenged, and I think in a very constructive and positive way, by what's happening in terms of social movements, in terms of the blockchain, and in terms of you know, so many different demographic, social, economic, political, and technological factors. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I just love the fact that the revolution in science is coupled and kept in check by the revolution of social being.
They're heavily interrelated, there's no doubt about it. There's a social component to the blockchain revolution, clearly.
Okay, other questions for Bob?
How do you follow that one up?
That's a great question. Okay, we have one more question. Who's going to try?
Are you familiar with the trolley problem? It's a.
Sorry?
Are you familiar with the trolley problem? It's a philosophical concept.
No, please, go ahead. Vague bell.
It's a problem that's very often referred when counter arguing the AI revolution. Basically, if you give up the choice of your own choice to a machine that is moving you along, and the machine is brought to a problem where it either gets to kill you or it gets to kill somebody else. That is an adaptation of the trolley problem. And with every revolution, technological revolution, there's this concept of human adaptation. How do you think humans will adapt to giving up choice?
Well, I think you could have, I'll give you an example of greater choice. There's a town in Ontario called Innisfil, and what they realized is that they took their budget to have buses doing these perpendicular routes, and they subsidized Uber, you know, and it's pretty cold in Innisfil in the winter, and through Uber Pool, they found out that they could offer a customized service where it would take you literally door to door, and as it turns out, it was far cheaper than running the buses in perpendicular directions. So I think through mass customization and other things is that the sort of like 1984, everything is the same kind of concern. I personally don't see that.
Thank you.
The last question.
Okay, great. We have one more question from.
There we go.
I'm Mr. Kim, a TV producer in KBS Korean Broadcasting System. So I speak Korean better than English. So I speak, you translate.
Me translate.
AI 블록체인이 이제 계속 발달하면 할수록
짧게
전
해줘.
세계는 하나가 됩니다. 하나가 되면서 IT 기술이 계속 발전하면서 개인의 행복은 개인적인데 점점 행복이 줄어든다. 그래서 우울증과 자살 이런 부분이 굉장히 심각해지면서 청소년들은 더욱더 심각해집니다. 인터넷 환경에서. 그래서 전 세계 AI 블록체인 학자들이 이거를 힐링할 수 있는 힐링 코인을 대대적으로 만들어야 되지 않겠나 이런 생각이 듭니다. 그래서 어떻게 생각하십니까?
The blockchain and AI revolution will bring positive positive scenes, but also negative scenes, such as more depression and more depression and
우울증, 자살,
more suicide.
개인 행복은 좀 줄어든다.
And therefore, less happiness will come to us. That's what I'm expecting, because as a documentary producer for the last 35 years, I've seen that. What are the solutions for this? I am thinking that the
그렇게 그런 그
healing coin will be the solution. Do you have any idea what to do to solve all these problems?
Well, a couple of different comments. Since we're talking about Korea, Elon Musk said that he considers artificial intelligence a far greater threat to the United States than North Korea. And believes that as an effect it has to be highly regulated in such a way it's producing good. Clearly, if it ends up in such a way that whoever comes up with the best, the brightest, the smartest AI engine that can displace 80%, it's estimated, of all of us, is not going to profit through that process. So I think there's going to have to be an open discussion, and I think there's going to have to be a credible dialogue. There was an article in the New York Times yesterday saying that the merger of AI and the Pentagon was not the best thing. And that Google should not take its AI intelligence and work closely with the military in terms of trying to figure out how to kill people without humans. So there is going to have to be much debate and much discussion about how it's intelligently and effectively implemented. But like every technology, I think if you go on a linear path and work on old assumptions, you can end up with a very terrible world. Hopefully some of the ideas and some of the assumptions are going to have to change. One of the things Don says as an example is when the car was first introduced into England, you had to have 2 extra people involved in it. You had to have a driver, because an average person was not trusted to drive a car. So you had to have a professional driver, and then you had to have another person 10 feet in front of the car, not to scare the horses. So the car was originally viewed as a counter-productivity tool. And as it turns out, laws change, ideas change, perspectives changed, and the automobile has probably improved most of our lives. And I think that so with some thought that AI can improve all of our lives. Now, what is slightly disconcerting about it is that it's not well understood by the general public. What its potential for good or for evil is not terribly well understood. And I think in some ways, in the Western world at least, government's ability to respond seems to have slowed somewhat in the last 10 years, or at least those are my observations. The government seems to be paralyzed. But I'm convinced that it could be reduced work weeks, it could be a guaranteed minimum income. Many people have many ideas in terms of what can be done to make it a better world for all of us. And we are democracies, and I hope that indeed does materialize.
Okay. Bob, great job. Anybody else have any comments? Final closeout? Okay, let's give a nice round of applause.